Arisa Seagal was no stranger to attention. As the daughter of Steven Seagal, a Hollywood icon known for his martial arts prowess and roles in films like Under Siege, and actress model Kelly LeBrock, Arisa had grown up in the shadow of fame. At 18, she was carving her own path as a model and aspiring actress, balancing her career with college life in Los Angeles. Her striking features, strong jawline, piercing eyes, echoed her father's, but her warmth and grounded nature came from her mother. Arisa was used to navigating the world with confidence, but nothing prepared her for the encounter that would change her perspective on justice. It was April 12, 2025, just after 7 p.m., when Arisa drove her silver SUV through Wilmington, a working-class neighborhood near the port of Los Angeles. She'd been visiting a friend and was heading home when a police cruiser's lights flashed behind her. Arisa pulled over, her heart rate ticking up. She'd never had a serious run-in with police, but as a young Black woman, she identified with her mother's heritage as well as her father's. She knew to stay calm and keep her hands visible. The officer, Daniel Torres, a 32-year-old patrolman with the Los Angeles Police Department, approached her window. Torres's tone was sharp from the start. "License and registration," he demanded, his flashlight blinding Arisa. She complied, reaching slowly for her documents. "Why'd you pull me over?" she asked, her voice steady but curious. Torres claimed her taillight was out, though Arisa knew she'd had her car serviced recently. The interaction felt off, but she stayed polite. Torres ran her license, then returned, his demeanor growing more aggressive. "Step out of the vehicle," he ordered, without explanation. Arisa hesitated. "Can you tell me why?" she asked, her phone in her lap, recording the stop as her mother had taught her. Torres's voice hardened. "Out now." Confused but compliant, Arisa stepped onto the sidewalk, her hands raised. The street was quiet, with only a few passers-by watching from a distance. Torres moved closer, his hand on his holster, and began questioning her about where she was going and whether she had anything illegal in the car. Arisa answered calmly, but Torres seemed agitated, his questions rapid and accusatory. The situation escalated when Arisa, feeling cornered, asked for a supervisor. "I'm not doing anything wrong," she said, her voice firm. Torres snapped, grabbing her wrist and twisting it behind her back. Arisa gasped, pain shooting through her arm. "Stop resisting," Torres shouted, though she wasn't fighting back. He pushed her against the SUV, his knee pressing into her thigh. Arisa's phone fell, still recording, capturing her voice. "You're hurting me." "I didn't do anything." A small crowd gathered, some filming, others shouting for Torres to stop. Arisa's mind raced. She'd trained in martial arts with her father since childhood, learning Aikido techniques to defend herself. But she knew fighting back could make things worse. Instead, she tried to de-escalate. "My name is Arisa Seagal," she said, her voice shaking but clear. "My father is Steven Seagal. Please just call a supervisor." The name hit Torres like a jolt. He froze, his grip loosening slightly. Steven Seagal wasn't just a celebrity. He was a reserve deputy sheriff in multiple jurisdictions, including nearby Jefferson Parish, Louisiana, known for his work on Steven Seagal, lawman. Torres's eyes widened, and he stepped back, his aggression evaporating. "Seagal," he repeated, his voice uncertain. Arisa nodded, her wrist still throbbing. "Yes." "Call your supervisor, please." Torres hesitated, then radioed for backup, his tone subdued. Within minutes, a sergeant, Maria Lopez, arrived. The crowd grew, their phones capturing every moment. Lopez spoke to Torres, then approached Arisa, who explained the stop, the escalation, and Torres's actions. Lopez's expression was grim as she reviewed Arisa's phone footage, which showed Torres's unprovoked aggression. Torres tried to justify himself, claiming Arisa was non-compliant, but the footage told a different story. Lopez ordered him to stand by his cruiser. Arisa, shaken but composed, called her parents. Kelly LeBrock arrived first, her face a mix of fury and relief as she hugged her daughter. Steven Seagal was out of state, filming a new project, but he was on the phone with Lopez within minutes, his voice calm but authoritative. "I want a full report," he said. No one puts hands on my daughter without cause. The incident went viral overnight. Clips from Arisa's phone and bystander videos flooded social media, with hashtags like #JusticeForArisa trending. The footage showed Torres's aggression and his sudden retreat after hearing Seagal's name, sparking outrage. Commentators questioned why a celebrity connection was needed to de-escalate a routine stop. Activists pointed to systemic issues, racial profiling, excessive force, while others debated Seagal's influence as a reserve deputy. Arisa, still processing, stayed off social media, focusing on her family. The LAPD launched an internal investigation, suspending Torres pending review. Arisa's taillight, it turned out, was functional, raising questions about the stop's legitimacy. Records showed Torres had a history of complaints, including 2 prior excessive force allegations, though he'd faced no serious discipline. The investigation uncovered body camera footage from Torres, which he'd forgotten to activate until after Arisa mentioned her father's name. The audio captured his muttered words. "Seagal? Damn, I didn't know." It was damning evidence of his backpedaling. Arisa met with her parents and a lawyer, Rachel Nguyen, a civil rights attorney known for police misconduct cases. Nguyen advised Arisa to share her story publicly to hold the LAPD accountable. In a press conference on April 15th, Arisa spoke, her voice steady. "This wasn't about my last name," she said. "This was about a system that lets officers like Torres act without consequences until they're caught. I'm lucky I had a name that made him stop. What about everyone else?" Her words resonated, drawing praise from activists and even some law enforcement voices calling for reform. Steven Seagal arrived in Los Angeles the next day, meeting with LAPD brass alongside Nguyen. His presence was polarizing. Some saw him as a concerned father, others as a celebrity flexing privilege. Seagal, known for his stoic demeanor, was unapologetic. "My daughter was attacked for no reason," he told reporters. "I've trained officers for decades. This isn't how it's done." He referenced his reserve deputy work, emphasizing accountability. Critics noted the irony, given Seagal's own controversies, including past allegations of misconduct, but Arisa's case kept the focus on Torres. The investigation moved swiftly, fueled by public pressure. On April 20th, the LAPD fired Torres, citing conduct unbecoming and policy violations. Prosecutors considered assault charges, though Arisa's team prioritized a civil suit to push for systemic change. The lawsuit, filed in May, sought damages and mandatory de-escalation training for officers. Arisa's wrist injury, a sprain requiring weeks of physical therapy, was documented, but the emotional toll was harder to quantify. She spoke of sleepless nights, replaying the stop, wondering what might have happened without her father's name. The community response was mixed. Wilmington residents, many Black and Latino, rallied behind Arisa, sharing their own stories of police overreach. A vigil outside the precinct drew hundreds, with signs reading, "No names should be needed." But some questioned Arisa's privilege, noting her wealth and connections. Arisa acknowledged this in interviews, saying, "I know my background gave me a shield others don't have. That's why I'm speaking out, to amplify their voices." Her sincerity won over skeptics, and she began working with local advocacy groups. Torres's termination didn't end the story. Leaked documents, obtained by a local journalist, revealed internal LAPD emails discussing Seagal's influence. One supervisor wrote, "Seagal's deputy status complicates things. Tread carefully." The emails suggested Torres's firing was expedited to avoid Seagal's public criticism, raising questions about whether justice was served or merely appeased. Nguyen seized on this, arguing it proved the system valued connections over accountability. By June, Arisa's lawsuit gained traction. A judge allowed it to proceed, citing sufficient evidence of misconduct. The LAPD settled out of court, agreeing to pay $1.2 million and implement training reforms. Arisa donated half the settlement to a community fund for police reform, earning praise from activists. The training program, named Arisa's Initiative, focused on de-escalation and bias awareness, with Arisa consulting on its development. She spoke at its launch, saying, "This isn't about me. It's about making sure no one else feels powerless. Arisa returned to modeling and acting, but her priorities shifted. She enrolled in a criminal justice course at UCLA, inspired to advocate for change. Her parents, despite their own complex histories, supported her. Kelly LeBrock, who'd raised Arisa away from Hollywood's glare, called her "my hero." Steven Seagal, quieter in public, told friends he was proud of Arisa's strength. Their family, often fractured by fame, grew closer through the ordeal. The truth that stunned the courtroom wasn't just Torres's retreat, it was the glaring reality that a name could shift the scales of justice. Arisa's story, amplified by her courage, forced a reckoning, not just for one officer, but for a system that too often demanded a famous last name to be heard.